Did you pull on the other side of the bridge concerning train fire?
Right here. Right there.
From fires to derailments and other dangerous situations, our firefighters, police officers, and paramedics have to be ready to respond to emergencies on the railroad. And this train is what CSX will be using to prepare them. This is known as the Responder Incident Training, or RIT train. I found it parked next to CSX's Ready Center in Atlanta, Georgia. And here's the newest addition to this consist, number 911343. That number honors the 343 firefighters lost on September 11th, 2001. The unit was unveiled at the beginning of 2025. It was built by CSX's locomotive shop in Huntington, West Virginia. And number 911343 did used to be a functioning engine. It's a former ST70 series locomotive made by what was then General Motors' Electromotive division. Wide-nosed, safety cab diesels like this are very common on the rails today. Whether they feature EMD designs or the more common General Electric cab. Of course, this thing is basically just a giant prop for training. As you can see, its exhaust and radiator fans have been covered up, and it's also missing its windshield wipers. But the cab windows do feature something extra: thin blue and red line flags backing police officers and firefighters. Now, the locomotive itself isn't really a locomotive anymore. CSX says the unit will be used to replicate incidents that could be encountered during a rail emergency, like an engine fire or crew rescue. And here's an interesting modification. Instead of diesel, the unit's fuel tank carries 4,900 gallons of water. It can simulate tears or punctures in the fuel tank. Now, major derailments like this one from 2020 in Lilburn, Georgia are rare, but they do happen. That red substance on the ground is red-dyed diesel fuel, indicating there was a leak. This train's crew also had to escape the cab after the locomotive ended up on its side. This example shows just how critical first responder training is. Now, as you probably know, trains carry all kinds of dangerous goods. Every day, hazardous materials travel through our neighborhoods, cities, and towns. And, unfortunately, we've seen what can happen when things go wrong. At this point, the devastating Norfolk Southern derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, back in 2023 is probably burned into all of our memories. There's no doubt, our first responders have to be familiar with the equipment that hauls hazardous materials. And these tank cars make up a large part of the RIT train. They represent the various types of tank cars that are on the rails right now. And some of these cars have been fitted with walkways, allowing people participating in the training to walk on top. The cars in this consist let first responders get hands-on training with domes, fittings, and valves. They can also practice installing kits that mitigate leaks and learn where to find critical information about a rail car and its contents. Of course, this train can be moved up and down the CSX system and can be used for full-scale exercises.
CSX hazmat. This is a drill. This is a drill.
This is footage from a chemical spill training exercise in Philadelphia in 2022. The city's fire department was training alongside members of the California National Guard. This was a small part of the dense urban terrain exercise. As you can see, folks participating in the training could get hands-on with a specially built CSX tank car. They got a first-hand look at the fittings and valves that are on these cars, and, of course, got to put on and test out the protective equipment they'd need in a situation like this. Lots of freight travels through big cities like Philly every day, along with countless passengers. And these professionals have to be prepared for anything.
You never know when a chemical attack is going to happen, let alone a chemical spill, and it's important to practice before it actually happens. So these kind of events allow us to have the knowledge and training prior to reacting to a real-world scenario wherever it may happen.
As you might already know, there are other safety trains out there. Norfolk Southern has its own variation of this, pulled by fully functional, specially painted locomotives. Trains like these are a tremendous asset for our first responders. Let's just hope they never have to put their training into action. Anyway, that's it for now. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and as always, thanks for watching.